All right, I gotta figure out streaming or not streaming. You know what? Where's my classic studio here? Creator Studio Classic. Because some of this stuff I like, and some of it I just haven't gotten used to yet. All right. So, um, let's retitle this. What are we going to call it? And I want to break out the chat so I can see it. Pop out the chat. Good. All right. And we want live chat. Now I can. Yes, I'm sort of kind of muttering while I do this. Just the classic live dashboard is so much easier for me right now. All right, so this isn't going to be Skyrim. This is going to be just sort of mod organizer and ENB stuff. Hey, there you are. With friends! Exclamation points. I'm just setting up my description and the title of the stream. Just hanging out. All right. Hey, Macaulay. I'm fine. How are you? I'm actually streaming so that we can, because Mr. B just got modding again. So we're kind of gonna look at a couple of things. I was talking to him about ENB Manager and Changer, and I wanted to show him that and a couple other things. So, Brian, I actually moved back over to Legacy Skyrim, so I'm in mod. So the first question I have for you, if y'all can hear me and everything, is are you using the latest version of Mod Organizer Classic, which is actually 1.4, not 1.3.11? That would be the first thing I'd ask you, because you said you couldn't run merge plugins either. So while you're getting to that, and for some reason I think my broadband might be a little gimpy today, because we've had a lot of storms around here. And so I'm trying to watch my stream. So let me find ENB Manager and Changer. First of all, I'm going to start that up. It's going to be a little kludgy because I'm going to be dragging stuff into the active window and out of the active window instead of alt-tabbing. Yeah, well, it might not be your end on the YouTube thing. I'm getting a rotating circle on my live stream that I'm watching. Can you now see my the window that says ENB Manager? It should be on top of Mod Organizer right now. Let me look at my, because I'm getting a real lag here. This is not good. Let me look at my settings. Am I streaming? I should be streaming in 720. Yep, I should be streaming in 720, so it's not. Yeah, I got the rescale output set up here. Hey, how you doing, Elfin Trigo? Everybody's here. Okay, so right now I can't see anything on the stream that I'm watching. Um, so I'm trying to monitor my stream. Um, there it is. Okay, I got the stream now. All right. So we were talking about ENB Manager. Um, so here it is. So um, just to start off, um, for loading and unloading ENBs, this is absolutely the only tool to use. Uh, it is so much easier than trying to remember which files and to move them in and out. You just got to remember if there's a data folder in your ENB, you've got to repackage that and load it as a mod in Mod Organizer. Uh, but that's not much. Anyway, let me show you here what this does. So right now I'm using I've gone back to Legacy Skyrim because um, I because you said you were using Legacy. I've been playing a lot of Special Edition lately. But so what I do is I load this program ENB Manager and Changer. I load it in each install directory. That way, when you run it, it picks up the ENBs that you're using in that version of Skyrim. If you follow what I'm saying, hey Adam, if you follow what I'm saying, so similar to using installing Mod Organizer in your legacy Skyrim and another version of it in your special edition. So right now this window that I have open here that I'm like moving around, that is I launched that directly from my legacy Skyrim root directory. So I'm using Rudy 4.3a, which is I think it's a little out of date right now. But the beauty of this little app is that right here you can disable the ENB. All of this is done like discreetly, right? So it's just it happens behind the scenes. Let me pop up. I'm going to open up I'm going to drag over my Skyrim directory so you can see what happens. So there's my Skyrim legacy directory. Rudy is great, but yeah, it's a little. Hey, Michelle. Good evening, everybody. We're doing a little bit of behind the scenes stuff tonight. So if you look at my Skyrim directory here, I'm going to click on disable ENB and just watch what happens on the left in the Skyrim directory. So disable, and boom, it's all gone, right? So it automatically installs or uninstalls the ENB series directory, and the ENB series.ini, ENB local.ini, and any other folders that the ENB requires. So it's awesome that way. And I have a whole crap ton of, this is an old install, so I have a crap ton of ENBs loaded here. So Adam, I realized I forgot to reply to your YouTube comments, and we didn't talk about it during the D&D on Sunday. So, but I will, I promise, because you had a couple of good comments there. So if you want to, for this little ENB manager, if you want to start a new ENB, you can just click new, name it new ENB or whatever. And then it gives you you can add here in the center there where it says ENB version, all of your ENBs that you've unloaded into their own directories, presumably in a, like I do I created a directory called Skyrim support files. And in that I keep all my apps and ENBs and everything else. And so you just click add the latest version that you want, add your files, your ENB series. All I got installed is the ENB series with the ENB mod for Vivid. Vivid is a little, I don't know. Vivid's a very is I find it also taxing. But here's what I do with Vivid. All right, just so you're sort of up to speed on that. Vivid Weathers works. You may or may not know this. I don't know. Vivid Weathers works really well with natural lighting and Vivid and something NLVA basically. So I've combined the two, and there's a special ESP for Vivid Weathers that works well with natural lighting and atmospherics. So it's NLVA. So a lot of that's what these NLVAs are for. You have to load the right ESP. So I'm not going to load Skyrim because it takes too long for Legacy, but here's like La Profeta, right, which is a great ENB. Oh my God, it's amazing, but it's, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff. All the stuff in this little files window here is what you would add, and then it's just automatic. So I'm going to go back to Rudy, this one right here, and then just click on Activate. And if you watch on the left, I'm going to go back to the Skyrim root folder there. If you watch on the left, you'll see all the stuff load right in. Takes a minute, and there it is. ENB series just loaded, and now I have the d3d9.dll. It's just all automatic. It's so awesome for that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for a good sort of low-end, medium to low-end ENB for your system, I can't recommend Seasons of Skyrim highly enough. It's old. It's the one that Gopher used in his original Let's Plays, but it's still awesome. It still works wonderfully. And just when you get in to the game, you just type Shift and Enter, and that'll open up the ENB interface and just turn DOF off, or do it in the ENB series.ini. And there's a couple other. La Profeta is actually, if you can still find it, I had to download it from a separate site. That's a surprisingly low overhead ENB. And then of course you can just run EN Boost, which will help your performance, but won't give you any of the beauty of an ENB. I'm looking through these quickly to see if there's any other ones that I can remember that are the original, lower end Rudies are really great. Straylight was really high maintenance and high overhead. So none of these other ones. Vivid Weathers I think is nice, but loading it with the Vivid ENB is very taxing on the system. Absolutely. So what else were we talking about? So I'm curious why you can't get merge plugins to run, because let me see. I have that running. So did you? I got to scroll back. Brian, are you running the latest version of Legacy Mod Organizer, which is 1.4? Because that might be part of your problem. Anyway, let's see if I got any. No, I don't have any start-ins or arguments set for merge plugins. It should run. Let me just see if it does. All right, so we're running Legacy Skyrim, and yeah, it's running. Oh, you're using MO2 for Legacy Skyrim? Ah, that might be part of your problem. Like I said when we were chatting on Facebook, I'd like to do that, but I don't I don't really trust it yet. I'm still you and to be honest with you, this version 1.4 of Mod Organizer Classic is really, really stable. So um, let me. All right. So let me tell you what I do with the two versions. Okay. I'm still using the classic version 1.4, and that was loaded up about 2 or 3 months ago when the Nexus changed the way they changed something so that it was impossible to use the download from manager, which I never do anyway, just so you know. Uh, but they did something that required an update, and some very very kind person volunteered and did a little bit of recoding on the classic version of Mod Organizer and re-uploaded it as version 1.4. So now version 1.4 logs into the Nexus correctly and works correctly. I think they changed servers or something. Um, yeah, yeah, I can totally sympathize with you not wanting to lose all your work. Um, I just don't trust Mod Organizer 2. But it's not. Okay, that's not quite correct. I do trust it, but I have very specific uh, ways that I use Mod Organizer, and I don't like the app data paradigm. All right, so I don't use the default directories, and I particularly don't want to use the default directories if I'm using both Legacy and Skyrim Special Edition. So I want discrete directories so I can keep track of what's where my mods are loaded, where they're not loaded. So let me, at the risk of, I'm going to close down Legacy here and open up Mod Organizer 2. I hope my neighbor's bass isn't encroaching on my audio here. So just, I mean, you may already do all of this, but let me just show you what I do with Mod Organizer 2. So I change everything around, all right? So I make my base directory the actual game directory for Special Edition and Mod Organizer instead of the default, which is, I think, an app data directory. I don't like that. It's too invisible. So I changed my base directory to the Special Edition directory for Mod Organizer 2.2, and then I switch all my mods and other stuff to reflect that, except for my downloads directory, which I keep in games as Skyrim SE mod zips. All right, so and the way I make that work is that I don't do any automatic downloads. All my downloads are manual. And move that. Okay, good. Absolutely. Okay, thanks, Adam. I can hear it outside my headphones, but I wasn't sure. This is a dynamic mic, so it shouldn't be picking up too much of the extraneous audio. So that's why I'm still using two versions of Mod Organizer, because I don't want to since I have them both installed in their own game directories, I don't want to have to keep track of which one's loading what game. So I just keep Mod Organizer 2.2 in the Special Edition directory, and then I keep the classic version 1.4 in my Legacy directory, and that way I keep them separate. And so when I download mods I have in my quick access over here on the left, when I download mods from Nexus, I just download manually into my downloads directory, and then it seems a little kludgy, but for me, I've gotten so used to doing it, it's easy. I just move them into the correct directory for whichever game I'm downloading a mod for, if you can follow all that lather, and they just appear right here in the Downloads tab. Um, so it works for me. You might want to try that. Just set up your SE directory for SE and download the Mod Organizer version 1.4 for your legacy Skyrim, install it in your legacy Skyrim folder, and keep them discrete. I think you might find, even though it seems a little kludgy, that you might find that it actually works better. It has for me anyway. And so right now, I don't have anything. Yeah, there's all my stuff is installed. I got to remember which I'm in Skyrim SE now. So this is my latest build. I haven't done an actual Dragonborn, shouts based character in a long time. So I loaded Legacy of the Dragonborn, that mod, plus a bunch of other stuff, and I'm creating a guy who's actually going to do the main quest. I don't think I've done the main quest in almost 2 years. So when you go to merge plugins to set the directory of the mod organizer, the OK button remains grayed out, even though those are the proper links. I'll bet that's a something has something to do with the Mod Organizer 2.2 or whatever you're using. I haven't tried to use merge plugins for SE. I don't even know if I have it. Yeah, I do. Let's see what happens when first of all, let me go look at how I have it set up here. Pretty much the same way. All right. So let's see what happens when I load it up. So I'm going to select SE. I see what you mean. So maybe there's a bug. Maybe merge plugins needs to be updated. I don't use it very often. Yeah, manually is a hassle, but I found it goes quickly. Oh, you're talking about merging the plugins manually. Yeah, well, that's far beyond my skill level. It's certainly within yours, but not within mine. Yeah, so I see what you mean. The OK button is grayed out here too. That could be. It's probably this version of Mod Organizer. I like it for what it does, but I'm not as much of a power modder as you are, so I have no idea. There could be. It's possible you need to add a line on the arguments in the arguments here, so that it knows exactly what to do. But I'm not sure of that. But as far as the ENB goes, I'm not sure why you're crashing with the ENB. That could also be an artifact of how you have it set up. I guess my paranoia when it comes to file I/O makes me want to keep things very much not in the sandbox, but in the, what do they call that? The I wouldn't say, well, you know how to merge plugins. You know how to use TES5 Edit or Xedit. I don't know the first thing about using those. I know how to make a merged plugin, but that's about it. I wouldn't know how to load two mods in and find the conflicts. So and you do. So that makes, from my perspective, that makes you a power user. Yes. The manager allows you to select which binaries you want to use, and it allows you to select the files for which ENB you want to use. It's pretty intuitive once you with the if you're talking about with the ENB manager and changer, you don't have to remove any binaries or add any binaries as long as you have them in directories that you can find. You can just point the little app at the directories you want. So what I do is I have all my so for SE. Um, let's go to Skyrim Special Edition. So in Skyrim Special Edition, I have a directory in the root of Skyrim Special Edition called SSE support files. So inside SSE support files is where I keep everything. So there's my ENB manager and changer directory. So inside there is the version that I use for Skyrim SE, right? And then I have all my ENB series unpacked into discrete directories. I have all my ENBs unpacked into discrete directories. So when I run ENB manager and changer and I want to add an ENB, I just click add and then give it the path that I want to use. So it's a little bit quicker and it's easier than remembering which ENB you loaded and which ENB you didn't, because it always keeps track of the last ENB that was loaded. So the last ENB that was loaded in this case was 4.3. Actually, this is the wrong one. That was for legacy. So I'm going to run it again, and now you'll see it picks up. See how it changed? Now it's reflecting the ENB that is loaded for Skyrim SE, which is ENB for Obsidian with the .381 binaries. And that's the latest version of Rudy for Obsidian. It's really simple, and it makes loading and unloading ENBs really easy. And to be honest with you, I have found that it's pretty rare that an ENB is going to cause a crash. So I would say unload, if you're crashing and you think it's the ENB, maybe it is, just unload the ENB first and see if it still crashes. If it doesn't, well, then it could be just running out of graphics memory. So you'd add the ENBs. Let me load it up again. All right, so you want to add an ENB. You click on New, right here. First of all, it always comes default with this disable ENB. That's going to be in there. So so you want to add a new ENB. You click New. You name it. We'll just call it Test for fun, and then in the Files section, you click Add and go to your path, wherever it is, and do whatever the ENB author tells you to do. If you need ENB helper, a lot of the SE ENBs need ENB helper, but if you're using legacy, you don't have to worry about it. Just do whatever the ENB author tells you to do. Load those files, add them in there, and they'll appear in this window right here. And then you can actually edit the INI files from there if you want to. I don't recommend doing that, but whatever. And then in the ENB version, you click Add. Same thing, gives you a dialog window. You just go to the right path, and you'll see here I have pretty much all the SE versions back to .310. The palette section, that's a totally different animal, not something you want to even bother with right now. So I'm going to cancel out of that. It really is pretty intuitive, and I know you're good at file I/O and figuring out, you keep track of where your directories are. You know how to handle directories and stuff. It shouldn't be a problem. If somebody's uncomfortable with file I/O and managing files and keeping that kind of stuff in your head, well then I don't know if I'd recommend the way I do things. But I've been doing this since the 80s, so I'm used to keeping track of that kind of stuff. And that's why I'm comfortable with doing the manual downloads of mods as well. It works in the way my mind works. That makes me feel comfortable. I don't like doing things with computers automatically, except little mods, the little apps that I can control, like this ENB changer. Everything else, I want to get my little fingers in there and move the files myself. It makes me feel safer. So that's why I keep these installations discrete. Um, if if you have a clear idea of where your mods are loaded, and you're using Mod Organizer anyway, we know that Mod Organizer uses virtual directories, and Mod Organizer keeps track of download directories and installed mod directories. It shouldn't be too hard for you to switch over to the legacy version of Mod Organizer for your Skyrim legacy version and install it in your Skyrim legacy root directory and run it from there, instead of trying to run both versions of Skyrim from the new version of Mod Organizer, if you can follow all that. I honestly think that that's a better way of doing it. I've been trying to wrap my head around, like I said earlier when we were chatting on Facebook, I've been trying to wrap my head around getting this Mod Organizer 2.2, which really is a very good version, to run both Legacy and SE, and it's a little more than I want to try to manage, especially with paths, because the base directory is pretty much locked, which means that it's going to be the base directory for whatever game you're running, and that means that when you get the dialog to select which game you want to manage, they're all going to default to that base directory. And that's of course why Mod Organizer 2 uses the app data paradigm, so that everything can be stored in there. And so if you want to do that, then maybe the new version of TS Edit is excellent. So I guess you'd keep your base directory as something global, and then it's just, I don't know. I don't like, there's too much to mess up in here. You can change the managed game, and then I assume you can go back and change these subdirectories for each managed game, but I'm just afraid I'm going to lose track of what I've done and forget. No, you're right. It probably shouldn't be an issue, but if you're comfortable with that, then absolutely. I'm more comfortable with keeping a separate installation for every game that I manage with Mod Organizer. So I've done that with Fallout 4 too. It just feels more natural to me, and it makes me feel like each one is a silo rather than a sandbox. So that's the word I was trying to think of before. So each game is a separate entity. Each game has its own installation of Mod Organizer, and I set up the directories for each one to my specifications. And I thought you said you had Mod Organizer managing both LE and SE from the same installation. So I guess I'm behind on what you said you were doing. Anyway, that's the way I do it. Whatever works. That's the most important thing. Whatever you feel most comfortable with is what's going to work best for you. So anyway, they're both installed in each directory. Interesting, huh? So you've got a separate installation in each directory, and are you using? Have you set up your file paths different separately, or are you using the same file paths for each one? I guess I'm a little confused on how you. Again, if you're comfortable with the way it works, then hey, by all means, keep doing that. Um, I kept using the old version. Okay, yeah, all right, understood. The only reason, well, I kept using the old version for legacy, different paths for each version. Okay, huh? I'm scared to try that. I was using 1.3.11 for a long, long time because, of course, the old version is 32-bit and the new version is 64. So until recently, Mod Organizer 2 wouldn't even work with Legacy Skyrim. So, but now with this newer version 1.4, it seems to work fine. One of the things that I like a lot about the new version of Mod Organizer 2, is that when you click on a file in the left pane, it highlights the ESP in the right, which is really awesome. That's something that the old version did not do, and that's something I would. So when you click Winter Sun on the left, it highlights the ESP on the right. That's just such a simple little thing, but it makes life so much easier. I wish the old version did that. Other than that, there's really not too many differences. There are, these problems with things like merge plugins not working. I have I've pretty much stopped using Rybash, so I'm using Mator Smash now for just about any of my Smash patches. So the only thing I've done, the only mods I've merged with merge plugins were in Legacy, so I didn't have that. I didn't get that error that you got. Let me just. I'm assuming that it still works in the old version. I was going to ask you that earlier. What do you use it for? I assume you don't use it for a Smash patch. Renaming ESP masters. Okay, interesting. And you can't do that with anything else. Wow, it's amazing how these old tools. So did I? Let's see. Let me just run merge plugins from here. Oh, right. Okay, never mind. That's too bad. Yeah, so it runs from here. The OK button is not ghosted. I don't know what to tell you about that. That's weird. It must have something to do with. It's probably the same thing that's stopping Rybash from running. Let's see if Rybash runs. So when you have, yeah, you could. Yeah, yep. More than 325 mods and BSAs. Yeah, all right, whatever. Okay, goodbye. When I tried to run Rybash from SE, I got an error that there was a folder in use. Is that the same problem that you're getting? Oh, so you can get past that. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so Rybash was telling me that there was a folder already in use. I tried running it from outside, and of course it worked outside Mod Organizer, but that doesn't help because it doesn't load any of the mods. So yeah, now I've got a whole lot of Drek. Crap, I'm gonna have to do a bunch of unloading and loading here. I just fucked something up. I don't even want to think about it right now. Um, so, yeah, running Rybash was a mistake. Anyway, all I really wanted to do was show you ENB Manager and Changer, which I think is pretty cool. I hope you can use that to your advantage. Update Windows. Interesting. What build are you using? I'm just curious. Are you using 1903 or whatever the latest one is? I don't know if I am or not. Yeah, do. Let me know how it works. And I'm pretty much done. I've been fasting since yesterday, so I've got to eat something because I'm pretty much at the end of my 24-hour fast. So I am pretty frickin' hungry. So I am going to get off the stream in a few minutes here, or a couple minutes. But yeah, let me know what you think of ENB Manager. That'll at least take a lot of that crap away from what you've had to do. But I'd be really curious if you discover whether or not that's what's crashing your load order. I somewhat doubt it, unless you're just running out of memory. But let's see what I've got running right now. I've got 139 plugins. Yes, Chinese. I'm speaking Mandarin actually, so you should be able to understand it, Michelle. I'm not sure what the problem is. And to be honest with you, a lot of what I'm blathering about, Brian understands far better than I do. So all I understand is what I've managed to get comfortable with, and that's about as far as I get. Rolling up my sleeves with ESPs and renaming things and everything else, that's far more. Huh. Oh, I know what I'm hearing in the background. I live in a little town that has live music every Tuesday night, so I forgot it's Tuesday, and the live band is across the street. Yeah, 195 used. And yet, so you're crashing. Well, yeah. Anyway, I'd be very curious if it's the ENB that's crashing, and if it isn't, then load EN Boost. Just the speed hack and the stability stuff, and don't load an ENB preset, and see if things if you get farther with that. Well, yeah, mod conflict, but you say I forget where you said you were crashing. I know missing masters usually just crash at the load screen. Mod conflicts, yeah, usually crash pretty early, don't they? Even before you get to the load game screen. Let's see. Again, you're running legacy. Did you say you're using Vivid ENB right after the ENB loads, but before the menu pops up? You're using the latest version. Do you have the ENB helper loaded? Which is let me go back to my that would be d3dx9 underscore 42.dll. Do you have that in your base directory? If not, that might be your problem, especially if you're using the latest version of whatever ENB it is, which I guess you said was Vivid. That's the only thing I can think of that would cause ENB to crash things. And then I would look at which binary you're using, which ENB binary you're using. Although I've never had, what's it called? It's, the file is d3dx9 underscore 42.dll. I think it is part of something called ENB helper. Hang on a second. No, d3d9.dll is the ENB binary. That's not what it is. Hang on one second. D3 dx9 underscore 42. I'm trying to find exactly what that is and why I have it loaded. I don't remember. This is the problem with go looking for that. I think it is part of let's look up Vivid Weathers or Vivid ENB. Let's see what it says. Overview, important. Look at the beta file. I'm looking at the Vivid ENB page on Nexus right now. See if it has any mention of that. I don't honestly know if that's going to be an issue for you or not. I don't think there are any other crash-worthy things, unless you're using RCRN. But I seriously doubt if you're using that. Let's see. Thanks for putting up with all this, Michelle. Sorry there was no gameplay. But as always, thanks for joining us. Yeah, I don't think that should be in the ENB series folder. Let me look in my ENB series. What do I have in here? Yeah, just a bunch of what you would expect. A bunch of INIs, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So that could be your problem. I'm still looking for any mention of that particular DLL in Vivid's. I know it's part of ENB helper, but I have it loaded in my legacy Skyrim root directory too, so it must be important for something. I'm sure you know about the STEP website. That's one place you could check for. That's probably what's wrong. I just need to figure out how to remove all the ENB files so I can reinstall. Yeah. Well, just delete ENB series first. Delete that folder, and then it's usually enbhost.exe would be one that you'd want to delete. And then I think d3d9.dll, or just rename those to like d3d9.old instead of .dll. That way you haven't deleted it and fucked something up even more strenuously than you had already. Also, make sure that you're running the latest version of SKSE, although I don't think there's anything beyond 1.73 or whatever the no, it's one underscore 9_32 is the latest legacy SKSE. So ENB host, ENB local, ENB series.ini's, and I think d3d9.dll would be the ones that you'd want to just move out of your root directory. Let me run. I'm gonna, just for shits and giggles here, I'm gonna run ENB helper or ENB manager. I mean, I've already completely fucked up my legacy, so I might as well just fuck it up some more. Yeah. So when I clicked on disabled ENB, d3d9.dll disappeared, ENB host disappeared, and ENB local.ini and ENB series.ini and the directory ENB series. All of those are gone. That's what you need to get rid of. Let's reload. This one, is that the one I had? Doesn't really matter, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So activate that again. And yeah, and d3d9.dll reappears. So those are the ones you need to, yeah, well, everybody has an opinion, right? I don't know whose videos you watched, but ENBs. The thing about that I've discovered over the years with ENB is that it can't break your game. It can completely fuck up the way your game looks, but that's easy to fix. You just unload the ENB and everything goes back to normal. But it really can't break anything as long as you keep track of the directories. And this little ENB manager is the fix for that. So that's the beauty of ENBs. They can't break your game. It's not like adding a mod that then gets baked into a save and then you're screwed forever. ENB is completely discrete. It's just graphics. So that's why I think you're right. It's a mod conflict and probably has nothing to do with the ENB. So anyway, guys, I'm getting tired. I've got to eat. Brian, good luck. Are you running the 970? Because if you are, that should be able to handle. I know it handled Seasons of Skyrim very easily in my games, and it was handling Rudy pretty well too. If you got 16 gig of RAM in the machine, it should be up to the task. But I mean, I still run even with the 1070 now. I'm running at 40 to 50 frames. So anyway, good night, guys, and as always, thanks for joining me, and good luck. Hope it all works out. Ooh, you're running a 1060. Nice, very nice. That's cool. I've heard those are nice. Macaulay, thanks for joining. I'm sure it was incredibly boring. I'm surprised you didn't fall asleep. But everybody, good night, and I'll see you the next time.